Rewatching this movie, I realized I don't know a lot about Pepper Potts except that she's exceptional at her job, lives for Tony Stark. But what of her family? Does she have a mother? Does she have a father? Who the fuck names her kid Pepper Potts? Iron Man, released in 2008, directed by Jon Favreau, written by Mark Fergus, Hawk Ostby, Art Markham, and Matt Holloway, based on characters by Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Don Heck, and Jack Kirby. This movie earned 7.9 stars on IMDb and a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie stars Robert Downey Jr., Terrence Howard, Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow, Leslie Bibb, Farhan Tahir, Saeed Badria, Sean Toob, Clark Gregg, with voice acting by Paul Bettany as Jarvis, and a cameo from the director Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan. This is the Iron Man origin story, as Marvel has modified it for the big screen. Tony Stark is the legacy child of Howard Stark, who was a businessman, inventor, entrepreneur, scientist. Big shoes to fill. After graduating early from MIT, and by early I mean at like the age of 15 or 17, with master's degrees in engineering and physics, he went on to run the family business Stark Industries upon the untimely death of his parents. Stark Industries was a company that prided itself, amongst other things, on providing weapons to protect America. When Tony is kidnapped by an organization called the Ten Rings, he takes shrapnel damage dangerously close to his heart. While being held hostage, Tony uses the assistance of another Nobel Prize winning physicist, Jensen, who is also being held captive. Together, they build an electromagnetic chest plate to keep the shrapnel from moving so that Tony can try to survive and also escape. The escape involves building a suit of armor that runs off of the chest plate. While being held captive, Tony sees that these enemies, these terrorists, have his equipment, his weapons, his technology. And he doesn't know how they got that. Once Tony successfully escapes, of course he successfully escapes and makes it home, he discovers that he can't remove the shrapnel and has to keep the new chest plate with a few upgrades, of course. For the most part, Tony keeps this a secret and only tells the people that he trusts. Rhodey, his buddy from his college days back at MIT. Pepper Potts, the faithful secretary who's way more than just a secretary and basically runs Tony's whole life. Happy Hogan, I'm pretty sure he knows, that's Tony's chauffeur, but also like really close buddy. And then he also tells Obadiah Stane, his business partner, who used to work with his dad, and I guess he has a little bit more of respect for him than he should, but we're just not gonna get that. Let's not count Obadiah as a trustworthy person. Tony also decides that he can make an even better, more computerized, high-tech suit that can be used as a defense instead of, well, what he was making before. Tony's all about the upgrades. Obadiah wants to continue selling weapons. Great. So when Tony has a change of heart and won't build weapons for Stark Industries or Obadiah anymore, Obadiah takes it upon himself to try to do things the way Tony did. He wants to build Tony's suit. He doesn't have the wherewithal to pull such a stunt.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps!
But you probably all knew this already, right? Filming for this movie began before a script was even complete, which offered a lot of ad-lib opportunities for the actors. This worked really well for someone like Robert Downey Jr., who just wanted to roll with the punches. But a lot of other actors on set were rumored to struggle with this until they actually understood what was happening, got used to the concept. Something else that I really found interesting about this movie was that Paul Bettany signed on to do the role of Jarvis, not knowing what he was signing on for. He agreed to do the voiceover as a favor to Jon Favreau. Now look at the role. He's integral to the plot of the Avengers and WandaVision. He's huge as Vision. Jarvis isn't the only character to have a small role that expanded so heavily. For Iron Man, Agent Coulson and Nick Fury were supposed to be much, much smaller parts. What did I like about this movie? I love the conversations that Tony has with his AI. Tony talks to Jarvis, the computer that basically runs his house, his systems, everything. And Jarvis is surprisingly sarcastic in return. Tony also talks to Dummy, the robotic arm that helps him move things around in his workspace, I guess. Dummy reacts more like a puppy. I mean, the movie does so much with these special effects to just have Tony acting by himself in a room. What didn't I like about this movie? The reporter bit, was a bit annoying. Specifically Christine's character and how they introduced her to the story. I understand that someone needs to ask Tony the hard questions and be there to provide information that he might not have. However, that could have been several other people in this movie without having to make it Christine, or Miss Brown as Tony Stark likes to call her. I wasn't a fan of how she approached him with these hard-hitting questions, so morally opposed to who he was and what he stood for, but caved so easily when he offered the mere suggestion that they might end up in bed together. In the real world, if a journalist slept with their subject, that article would never go. They would never be allowed to write that. It's not ethical. I feel that her role was simply used as an example that Tony could get anyone into bed and that he was a massive playboy. And at one point, he says, "I got caught up doing a piece for Vanity Fair." He refers to her as a piece because of the double entendre of a piece being an article and her being a piece of... Don't think it was necessary. Drink anytime Tony's father, Howard Stark, is referenced.
The son of legendary weapons developer Howard Stark.
Drink anytime Tony talks with his AI, basically when he has a conversation with Jarvis or when he talks to Dummy. Now this includes a reaction from Jarvis or the dummy.
Douse me again, and I'm not on fire. I'm donating you to City College.
Drink anytime Rhodey shows up.
So I know you don't respect me.
I respect
I'm just
you.
your babysitter.
Drink anytime Agent Coulson shows up.
With the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division.
Drink anytime anyone speaks a foreign language.
He's speaking Hungarian. I don't
Speak Hungarian. Okay.
Tony's captivity is rough on all of us. Drink anytime anyone says weapon. Zzz.
That's what we do. We're ironmongers. We make weapons.
Some of these drinking games offer an optional rule to finish your drink. The optional rule to finish your drink for Iron Man is the Stan Lee cameo. So, finish your drink when Stan Lee shows up.
Look great, Hef.
Thank you for watching this drinking game. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for future drinking games. You can even comment below or send me a message on future drinking games that you might like to see. You can also follow me on Twitter at DrinkAnytime, where I sometimes give clues as to what the next drinking game I'm planning on might be. I'm now wondering if this whole movie was supposed to be a commentary on the boomer versus Gen X dichotomy. I mean, Obadiah is very set in his ways, and Tony comes in with all these new ideas. Here comes Iron Man. Da-na-na-na-na-na, Iron Man. Those are kind of the works.